So, yesterday you were telling a story that
About
as
Pedro.
we arrived, what happened? Do you want to explain?
Yes, Dennis, it was something surprising for me when I saw Pedro in front of the minivan that brought us to the community. It's something that I had never seen. When people were hugging you and greeting you and saying hello and welcome to our communities, Pedro was by himself in front of the minivan, and he raised his arms and he said, finally, finally. He said this word almost 3 or 4 times. And after that, he said, thank you, God, for bringing these people to my community. And I saw his eyes, and he was into tears as well. Uh, I think that he had waited for almost a year to have your presence, your visit in the community. And because he's one of the persons in the community who is in need of tools to generate any incomes, he felt, I'm sure, so blessed for having the chance for the first time in his life to have the appropriate tools to make his work and make his living. It's unbelievable. As I told you, this is the first time that I see a person, a beneficiary of tools for opportunity to do this. And let me tell you that this impacts the community, the hearts of the beneficiaries, and the hearts of the people who work for Tools for Opportunity as well. So you are a blessed in El Salvador, and I will tell you again, your presence is very important in El Salvador to change lives. The last day of the workshop, we were having lunch. Do you remember? I was in the hallway because I was having a ceviche, and he sit by me, and he had a huge plate of food, and some other carpenters didn't want the meat, I think, and they shared it with him. So he had a full plate plus a ceviche, and he was eating like crazy. He was so happy. I saw his eyes, and he was like, "Oh my God, this is good. This is beautiful. Finally, I have a decent plate of food in my table." I saw his eyes, and I saw his body language was telling me how blessed and happy he felt at that moment.
David grew up in Guatemala, and he said, I know about Pedro. He said, when the chicken lays an egg, then he eats. And he waits for the next time the chicken lays an egg, and then he eats again.
What about if he doesn't have the hen?
Yeah.
He would be starving now.
Pedro, when I interviewed him, mentioned that he learned woodworking from a gentleman that had traveled from San Salvador here for 2 weeks, and he had a class, and then the man left, and he can call him and ask a question if he needs it, but he's had no other training. He's self-taught basically, but he works so very hard, and he wants to learn more. He doesn't have a lot of education,
No.
and yet he still wants to learn. He still is open to receiving, and to me that just speaks volumes. When you open your heart, when you are open to learning and trying new things and trying to learn, it will come.
So that's why watching this and listening to them, listening to people like him, I was thinking about talking to you about following up with these people. Maybe next year, if you decide to work in this area, we can bring more carpenters. But the carpenters that took the workshop this year should be here to make more furniture, share experiences with the new ones, and make something bigger. So because we need to keep these people refreshing their knowledge.
Yeah.
For sure, in a year, he will have lots of questions. So that would be great to have a big event with new carpenters from another community and the ones that took the workshop this year. So that would be a kind of carpenters fair,
Yeah.
producing more, and we can bring more benefits to more kindergartens, maybe for the school, who knows.
Guillermo was saying that we might use the carpenters that learned this year as instructors
Sure.
for next year to help the new ones learn how to build a table, a bench.
Can you imagine 35 or 40 carpenters all together, what they can do?
Yeah.
And I think it would be interesting also because the tools were given to the school. What have the children learned? How are they using the tools? And there would be questions there also at their skill level, but helping them to grow and to understand also.
And for that, we can plan a festival of carpenters.
Yes.
Children should come to the workshop to show what they did during the year. We can see their work. So this is really interesting and beautiful because we'll see that the tools and the knowledge was well used.
To me, that was a surprise. And maybe it was because this year it was at the school and there were students coming in for a summer school. But watching the young men, the young boys particularly, looking in the windows, watching and listening, even though they couldn't understand English, but just watching and wanting to learn. And you could tell by their body language. There was about 2 or 3 of them that were really engaged. They
were very
really
focused.
focused. Yes.
Yes.
So I think that Tools for Opportunity has to start taking all these experiences and put them together in the future in order to plan the activities. At a certain point, Tools for Opportunity has to do things different or always keeping the same, but we have to add more activities because you realize here that people want to learn.
Yes.
Students.
Yes.
We should have a little space, somebody with youth who want to start this. Like, do you remember that we saw 3 or 4 of them who were interested?
Yes.
The ones you were talking about.
Yes.
Maybe we should have something for them,
Yes.
something for all the students who will use the tools during the year. We can make a fair where they present their achievements and their work, and then the huge festival with almost 40 carpenters. As Guillermo says,
Yeah.
the ones that took the workshop this year, working as instructors. So
And that's giving back to the community. That's giving, and that's also developing a network. So as they continue to work here, they can talk to one another, they can ask questions, they can support one another in different projects. I think that, to me, that's where it continues to give and give.
that should be the plan for the future.
Yes, I agree.
Because I will tell you, according to my experience, I have been doing this since 1986. There were some years where my organization was so excited about bringing support for schools, and we were building classrooms in one community, then we left for another community and then to the other one, but we never saw the progress.
But one of the things that Alvaro said yesterday, the day before, with other organizations that he's been involved with, where they come down and they build classrooms for schools, and it's a shotgun where they do one over here and one over here, and 2 years later, 3 years later, the classrooms aren't used. I mean, they did it, but there was no follow-up.
Yeah.
So he said, It wasn't until they started going back to the same community for 3, 4, 5 years in a row that they actually made a difference, because they came back the next year, the classrooms were used. Came back the next year, each time they came back, they stepped it up a little bit more.
And you know, there's so many nonprofits all over the world, and they all mean good. But a lot of times what happens is there are nonprofits that kind of impose, in a way, they say, oh, we think you need this. No, 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 no. You have to stop and listen to what the community needs, and you gotta work around their needs, because only then any project you do will become self-sustaining. Why? Because it will not come imposed by you, and the community will own it. The key is to make sure that the communities own the project, that they feel involved from the very beginning stages all the way to the end. Only then can you secure that. And what Alvaro is saying is exactly right. If you go to a community to provide a project, if you go back the following year, that community will have a sense of, yeah, we're important. They're coming back to us. They're making sure we're doing the right thing. So we're going to do the right thing. And then if you really want to watch your community grow and develop, you really ought to be there, you know, not just 1 or 2 or 3 times. So yeah, it's all about helping the community's own projects so that they can guarantee that it becomes self-sustainable.
It's just like Lillian. It was her idea to approach Pam about something for the women, and she owns that. And so if we come back, that's kind of the next step up.
And I can guarantee you, it would probably not have the same impact if I would have brought it up to Gene and the board than to have Lillian approach you.
And it was interesting when we mentioned it to Gene. He's saying his sister came last year.
Carol.
No, Carol.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Carol's the cousin.
Yeah. And Eileen felt the same thing, except she didn't know what to do. The women hadn't approached her. She just made the comment to Gene, maybe when they got home or something. I wish we could do something for the women. And so it's there. The seed was planted last year, kind of watered a little bit.
So Pedro is saying that he sincerely thanks you. Never in his life he expected to get so much. In fact, he's one of the gentlemen that was saying that he was coming out to this shop more than getting anything to meet you in person. He was more than happy if he would just receive 1 screwdriver or a single handsaw. That's all he could ever expected. So you have over exceeded with everything that you have given to him. He really appreciates also all of you for taking your time to visit his home and his shop. That was something very special to him.